Hi, Dylan.
Hey, Brad, how's it going?
I'm pretty good.
Oh, I sounded really Milwaukeean right there.
Oh, yeah.
How's it going?
Yeah, you betcha. Well, we are Scani people.
Sconies.
And as Sconies, what are we doing right away?
Having a beer.
We're having a beer. What are you drinking, Dylan?
It's at night this time. I'm drinking a Hams, which is more Minnesota than anything, but it still works. I just wanted something cheap, drinkable. I got to drive later, so...
Yep, I don't have to drive, and I'm drinking a beer kind of in honor of our topic today. It's Fire and Blood, which is how I feel about the company we're covering at this point.
It's also Game of Thrones themed.
It's a Game of Thrones beer. Talk about a franchise that just ran into the ground.
Wow, that last season.
It's amazing how much I don't care about that series anymore. When I have a fucking werewood tattooed on my arm, and I have zero desire to revisit almost any of it now. The original seasons are tarnished from the last season.
It shat the bed in a very specific way.
The creators did so bad they lost a Star Wars trilogy.
No, they did. Well, I think for saving face, they said they didn't want to do it anymore.
Never been broken up with, too. I always am the one breaking up.
God, they're okay at adapting things, but I guess behind the scenes, it was a nightmare still.
So, we are Raw Dogs, the Raw Dogs.
The Raw Dogs, the two Raw Dogs.
Today, we are kind of continuing what we talked about in the Dogcast last week. We are going to talk more in depth on Konami.
After doing the Kojima episode, yeah.
So, Kojima, I'm pretty high on him as a creator, so doing a dive into Konami.
Have you been playing more Death Stranding, Brad?
No, I was at a friend's house when I played that. Honestly, I would keep playing that game. I think that would be a podcast game where you can like listen to something in the background, because I've heard the middle 35 hours is a lot of grindiness.
The middle 35 hours, you've heard that right, folks.
Yeah.
I'm anxious to play it. I sold my PS4, but if I bought a new one, it would definitely be that Death Stranding limited edition one. If it went back on sale, I would buy it tomorrow. Yeah, that's the only way I'm doing that, though. And so I'll wait for its PC port. Inevitably, there will be one after the 6 months or whatever they usually give exclusivity for, especially for Sony. That's usually how it works.
Same reason I've been thinking about, grabbing Spider-Man and God of War today. Monday. It's Cyber Monday when we're recording this, so everything's $10 or $15.
Especially God of War at this point, right?
Yeah, I can sit around. You know what game I am excited for that just came out is Golem for the PlayStation VR. That's the Highwire Games, the offshoot of Bungie, a lot of the creators and the composer, which I really like. It's gotten mixed reviews as, I don't know, virtual reality games are still in their infancy. But
the ones you showed me were great.
Let's get into it here. So,
absolutely.
What I have been playing... The other day, my girlfriend sat next to me while I went through my Nintendo Classic and Super Nintendo Classic and PlayStation Classic, which have been, kind of hacked to have every game on them. So I played every Konami game from each one of those systems. Kind of just got familiarized with a lot of the games that I hadn't played. Mm-hmm. There's, a lot of shovelware on that. But Konami started in 1969, March 21st, as a jukebox rental and repair business.
Yeah, there were no games really besides chase the light across the screen, probably.
My cat loves that game.
Yes, mine do too. But now you get it analog. You can just get a little laser pointer.
They moved into coin-operated arcade machines in 1978. First big success was Frogger.
Spoiler alert, Frogger is in my top three Konami games.
Okay.
I like Frogger.
I didn't do too much considering on those top three games that we talked about.
No, you didn't, but you'll get it.
I have two Konami game posters in my house. So.
Yeah, I think we're going to agree on at least one of those.
Frogger's a great game. Simple arcade mechanics. Kind of a lighter, cartoony, colorful. Mm-hmm. It wasn't spaceships and robots. It was a cute little frog trying to cross a stream.
It's fun because it's all about timing and forethought. Just having that as a mechanic itself, it still feels fresh because you don't really even have to do a lot of that in platforming these days. Unless you're playing an extremely hard Super Mario level, you're not getting that kind of twitch, move to the side reaction. So you set up a thing and then you follow through on it.
All joystick.
It's literally, there's no buttons.
So this is the first franchise that Konami kind of really established. Frogger on the PlayStation. I remember...
Did you play that?
I played that. A friend had it and I wound up, I think, beating a lot of the game. And it's all based kind of on that simple mechanic of still just left, up, down, right. And then the levels kind of designed around like getting to certain objectives. I actually like the PlayStation 1 quite a bit from what I remember. It's been a long time.
I have it in my head because a lot of these older gaming icons got like 3D platformers to to try and catch up with
that
Mario.
Was PS2, I want to say, when they're like, it was Frogger's Journey or something.
Yeah, something stupid. And I was thinking about that just now because they did that with Pac-Man and Pac-Man World, stuff like that.
Arcade franchises that have no right moving into 3D world exploration type gameplay.
Did you ever see the Pac-Man animated series?
Thank God I haven't.
He talks like this.
He's
like, you know, he's got like he just sounded like a grizzled war vet or like a detective from the 1950s.
I don't know what Pac-Man's voice should sound like, to be honest. It probably that's all I should do.
Yeah.
The sound of terror.
Well, apparently there's an actual animated series that was pretty recent, and it's him hanging out with the ghosts or something. It's CG animated.
Yeah.
I've never listened to it though, so I don't understand who they made that for. Do you think children want to see a Pac-Man show?
No, and the people that have fond memories of the Pac-Man game have no interest in seeing it devolve into a show.
Or they're dead.
Or they're dead. Speaking of dead, Frogger's latest release is a mobile game, Frogger in Toy Town. Way to go, Konami.
What does he do in Toy Town?
Fuck if I know. Does
he cross production lines?
I'm hoping that it is a little more straightforward Frogger gameplay, but it's a mobile game. So
those are so okay.
That one could be a good mobile game though.
Brad, let's get this out in the open right now. How do you feel about mobile games?
I used to be optimistic. There's not a lot on.
No.
First time I beat Final Fantasy 1 was on like a shitty phone version.
Sure.
And that was fine to do while you're managing a movie theater and you're bored.
Right.
I don't want to see some of these other franchises, which we'll get to,
only
having mobile releases.
Well, didn't you hear? It's the future of games.
It's the future of games, says their current CEO. I don't mind mobile releases as long as there's also console releases. They can supplement them. I mean, they ought to make their money. So yeah, go ahead and sell $10 pay-to-play Frogger. Whatever. I don't give a fuck. As long as you're still making high-quality Castlevanias, because I didn't want to say high-quality Frogger because I don't give a fuck.
Well, they could. Wouldn't that be awesome? Well, not like a gritty reboot.
Frogger VR.
Oh, like they did with Tetris Effect.
So I was editing our interviews from Portland earlier today, and I was editing the Limited Run games. So I went to the Limited Run games website just to grab some images for the interview. Thank God I did, because I saw Tetris Effect has the 5 LP vinyl set available for pre-order, and it was $100, but it's one of those things you don't even think about. I need that soundtrack on vinyl.
Oh, man.
That was
it was beautiful.
I love that game.
Yes.
Yeah, but that was Frogger. They made enough money from that one release to establish Konami of America, able to really establish a foothold over here. The game crash happened then, so they kind of focused a lot of their development onto the MSX.
Yeah.
A lot of those early big games that we know and love came out on the MSX. The first game that I have down was from 1985, and it's also the birthplace of the Konami Code. Do you know which game that is?
Oh, golly. Contra came out later. It's not Castlevania, because Castlevania was, what, 87?
Castlevania was 86. It was Gradius.
Oh, really?
And I guess the creator was so frustrated by that game that he put in a code. One of the developers like, I can't beat it. I'm just going to put in a code in there so I can actually beat my own game.
That is so shady. It's still like... We all like to praise hard games now, but back in the day when you had to actually go somewhere to actually play these video games, I guess they made money. I don't know.
The original Gradius, so I played Gradius and Salamander, which is known as Life Force in America.
I've played Salamander.
It's good. All those games hold up really well. I actually found myself enjoying those. I think Gradius 3 would maybe be my third favorite game that Konami made. I was talking Gradius 3.
Okay.
They're fun, simple. I like that side scroller shooter.
I prefer the side scrolling
instead of vertical.
Than the isometric, or sorry, not isometric. Top down.
Speaking of top down, another game from that time from 85 that came out was the Twin B series. Are you familiar with them?
Oh, I played it for the first time on the Switch online.
Was it which Twin B was it? Was it Poppin' Twin B?
It just said Twin B.
Twin B. The naming conventions for that series is very weird.
Yeah, I vaguely looked into that, and I just didn't have the patience for it.
But I do love that series because it does take a lot of the style of a side-scrolling shooter, but it's cartoony, it's bright, it's weird. I remember being like fighting pickles and bananas.
Yeah.
Which is cool and adorable.
And also, it's just like this colorful landscape down below. There's a genre that kind of developed out of this. It's called the cute 'em up.
Cute 'em up. I love that term.
Yeah. It's a lot of these games that they make these very hard side-scrolling or top-down games. You're playing as something weird, like a cute little witch, or the list could go on and on.
And then they also had, like Rainbow Bell Adventure, which is a platformer in the series. The Twin B series has... The latest release for Twin Bee was 2013. That was a mobile game. Gradius, it's been on like the virtual console. They haven't done much with that lately.
How many times are we going to hear mobile game today?
Well, either that or Pachinko Machine. Those are the two fates that you can pretty much have as a Konami franchise currently.
Gambling, baby.
Yakuza, baby. So have you heard of the Mr. Goemon series?
I have that's what we renamed Mystical Ninja, right?
Correct. The first one that came out in America was Legend of Mystical Ninja.
That's the N64 one, right?
Super Nintendo, actually.
Really?
It's awesome. It's got almost kind of like that weird, dirty, tongue-in-cheek humor you can expect from Japanese anime. And rather than it being a straightforward, like beat-em-up style exploration game, you can go multiple directions and kind of explore the world in different ways.
Oh, that's cool.
The monsters are all cool designs. The characters are fun. I played it for a little while, and even Carly was watching. She's like, this game looks pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
That's a game that I'm actually going to probably go back and play, which as far as things that I played, I'm not going to go back and play the Batman NES games.
Yeah.
Batman does not just walk straight left and punch people. There's a little more to Batman than that.
Oh, I didn't know you were such a Batman purist.
It makes you feel like Batman.
That's what they brag about in all those games. You actually feel like Spider-Man now.
It's the Dark Souls of Spider-Man.
It's the Dark Souls of Spider-Man. Congratulations.
Coming to Pachinko near you.
Yes, Dark Souls Pachinko.
Well, speaking of Pachinko machines that shouldn't exist, let's talk about the next series that came out, 1986, Castlevania.
I love Castlevania.
Castlevania is such a great series.
Even when it's bad, it's kind of good.
From its early roots to where it's kind of more heavy metal barbarians fighting vampires. I like that design. Also, just the super anime boys with the long hair.
I can appreciate that.
I like the whole way that series has evolved. We can skip the 64 games.
Yeah. And the 3D ones aren't all that great. I hear Lords of Shadow is okay. I've never played it.
Yeah, to me, it looks too much like a God of War, Devil May Cry type thing. I know
that's what they were going for.
Kojima was kind of helping with some decisions in that game, but if they wanted me to play it, they shouldn't have had it be a reboot of this series. As stupid as the timeline is, I still subscribe to it.
Yeah.
I own the PS2 Lament of Innocence, which is chronologically the first one in the series.
Yeah, I know that.
And, it has the same composer from Symphony of the Night, and it sucks. I still try and convince myself that Lament of Innocence isn't that bad, but it is not the best gameplay, but I still listen to the soundtracks.
I watched a playthrough of Lament because I knew I could never pick it up and do it myself.
Castlevania 1, 2, and 3, Nintendo games, Famicom games, classics. Castlevania 3 is probably my favorite.
Really, Drax Curse?
Out of those early ones. Super Castlevania 4 and Bloodlines are kind of in their own thing, but once they hit Symphony of the Night, that's when that franchise...
Oh, yeah.
Man, what a game. I'm going number 2, Symphony of the Night.
Okay. Number 2 might be Symphony for me as well.
The soundtrack is insane. They were on the PS1 and they opted to do a 2D experience with just the richest soundtrack and just the most uniquely designed characters, the layout of the castle.
The sprite work.
The sprite work on that game is fantastic. The way Dracula just kind of nonchalantly throws his wine glass. The horrible translation, too.
What is a man? Have you ever played Rondo of Blood?
I played it on an emulator. I don't remember it too well. I've beaten every of the Castlevania games leading up to that. I've even beaten Bloodlines, which is a really weird one.
Bloodlines, I have never played.
It actually ties in the Dracula novel into the Dracula novel is canon for Castlevania.
Oh, okay.
It features Jonathan Harker's family or something. I don't know if it's actual characters, but it includes that novel. So you can actually go pick up Dracula from your local bookstore and know you're reading a Castlevania game.
I really dig that. At some point you knew they were going to do that.
Might as well, right?
Yeah.
Koji Igarashi, he didn't start developing the game, but he did wind up doing the second half, and he became known as, Igavania, the guy. And he kind of oversaw a lot of the portable games, and he left Konami in 2014, I want to say, because they were focusing on...
That recent.
Yeah, because they were focusing on mobile games, and he wanted to not be a part of that. So the newest Castlevania game
is a mobile game.
Is a mobile game.
Came out last year, right?
Might have been this year. I don't know. My eyes roll back in my head when they start mentioning mobile games.
One of the things that really has always bothered me about mobile games, and especially when you consider something like Castlevania, is that when you turn your phone on its side, you want to treat this like a video game. you want to feel a certain aspect of kineticism to it.
Yeah.
You want to feel the directional buttons. You want to feel the actual buttons. And I've tried to play some graphical powerhouses on my phone. It just doesn't turn out good because if you're going to use one of those things as an analog stick, now, to be honest, I do have Final Fantasy Tactics on my phone, and it functions very well.
I would argue that Final Fantasy Tactics on the iPad is one of my favorite mobile gaming experiences. Playing that on an airplane with my Apple Pen.
Yes.
That is just clicking the spaces. That's maybe better than playing it on a console.
Yeah.
It's just being able to click the spaces. It feels really intuitive. Did you ever play the console multiplayer game Harmony of Despair?
No, I'm not even sure I know what that is.
So imagine a giant castle map, and you can see like the entire map, which is maybe a quarter the size of the Symphony of the Night's, like one of the castles.
Sure.
And you can see the whole thing. You can like zoom in and out of the map to different sizes. Mm-hmm. You can have different characters start at different points of the map. You have to flip a switch here so this character can go there. It's all about kind of unlocking the castle cooperatively and then fighting the boss. It's kind of almost like a raid.
What system is this on?
Xbox 360 and PS3. The PS3 version is the only one that had local multiplayer. I played the Xbox 360 one briefly online, and it was a lot of fun because you can choose from any of the characters, and they play like how you remember them.
Oh, okay.
From Richter through, I don't know if they had Simon. They had, all of the Game Boy and the DS characters.
Soma Cruz.
I actually liked Harmony of Despair quite a bit. Castlevania, fucking great.
It's a good series.
Did you play the new Pachinko machine, which features erotic violence?
Oh, I love erotic violence.
Castlevania, apart from being a mobile game, also a pachinko machine. I've always, kind of heard about pachinko machines.
Have you ever played a pachinko machine?
No, but I finally figured out kind of how they work now.
It's like the dropping game, and it's Plinko.
It's kind of like a slot machine in that it's a lot of chance-based, but you win metal balls, and then you take them over to a shop and exchange them for money. That's how they can get around illegal gambling.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of the Konami franchises have been lately. Silent Hill, Castlevania, Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
That's kind of fuels something that I think might be part of a Dylan experience type thing. A lot of people think that Konami is in bed with the Yakuza.
To be honest with you, the Yakuza has become such a they're everywhere, but they're also not the same Yakuza that you see in like movies and stuff like that. It's basically high level mob, and they're probably already in seats of government anyway. So
people in power are generally all going to be influenced by money.
If we're talking about stuff where people are profiting off of the suffering of others, then yeah, they're in league.
I want to get back to this topic a little bit later when we get near some later in their history. So,
sure.
1987 was when Contra first came out.
Wonderful game. Shout out to Matt Grenier. He loves Contra 3, Alien Wars.
The Super Nintendo one.
Yeah.
I played that a little bit the other day, and it feels exactly the same as the other Contras. It holds up. It just has a bigger graphical fidelity.
A lot of slowdown, though. That's one thing I can't handle.
No. Don't put it on the screen if it can't keep up.
I agree.
That is frustrating. That series hasn't been doing well, though.
No. Didn't they just release one called The Rogue Corpse or something like that?
Yeah. It got really bad reviews.
Yeah. There's like a panda character, right?
I didn't look into it other than I know people didn't like it.
The ones on like the DS were very good. I actually bought them used back in high school. They were fantastic.
You know, what is sad for a lot of these franchises is what does Konami do now? Release collections, release HD collections.
Yeah.
Half of them aren't good. Half of them, they don't do the legwork and make it worth your while. And even then, I've already bought Symphony of the Night 3 times.
I still need an original copy of Symphony. It's just so expensive.
I love putting the original Symphony of the Night black disc in a CD player. Have you done that?
No.
You go to track 2 and you have Alucard.
As you can see, this is a PlayStation black disc. Cut number 1 contains computer data, so please don't play it. But you probably won't listen to me anyway, will you?
And then it's like a remix of all of the songs from the game.
Really?
Yeah. Fantastic. I don't know.
That's so clever.
I don't know if I still have that game or if I have a CD player that could play it. So that was cool. 87 also brought us Metal Gear with Hideo Kojima.
Yep, which we covered pretty extensively in our Hair of the Dog cast.
Yeah, we don't need to discuss that too much.
I will say that I don't think Kojima really gets I mean, he's lauded as this auteur, but I don't think he gets enough credit, really. When you have someone clever enough to transform something and then make it a hit, they should have kept him around.
Yeah, it is baffling every decision Konami has made since 2015. Almost every one of them.
I have not agreed with it.
They are making money.
Yeah. Their stocks are selling for $44 a stock.
They're making money. There's a lot of money in pachinko machines. Although I was reading one article that's saying Konami is kind of poising to pivot because there are rumors that the pachinko machines are going to be facing some new regulations.
Oh, so they're going to go full mobile game?
The article I was reading was saying that they're going to be making some more console games. Even then, it's hard for me to believe they're going to be anything but cash grabs like Metal Gear Survive. Which, yeah, okay, so Metal Gear, we don't need to talk about any of the Kojima stuff, but after Kojima was ousted, Metal Gear Survive was the game that they made, which is baffling. A game about political conspiracy and espionage. We're going to make a zombie game, okay? Zombies.
Interdimensional zombie game.
Was it interdimensional?
Yeah, they get... Okay, so before Mother Base blows up in Metal Gear Solid 5, they get transported to this world. That's not even a joke. They desperately wanted to reuse the assets. Yeah. Essentially, they paid for the development of the Fox engine, which is what Kojima developed with his team.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we can't just make one game with this and ditch it. So they basically did Metal Gear Survive. And this was their way of trying to get into almost the annualization craze, the purely MMO-ish looting, the stuff that everyone loves, your Destinies, your Borderlands, stuff like that.
For the low price of $10, you could buy a second save slot.
Isn't that cool? I love it.
How dare they do something like that?
I mean, I needed one because I basically 100% of the first one.
It's amazing, even just reading interviews from the company, and they're saying we see a lot of potential in making money through those avenues. It's like, well, at least don't talk about it. In 1987, they established a shell corporation, Ultra Games, because Nintendo was ultra strict about licensing. You could only have 5 games a year, I think was what it was.
Yeah.
That brought us what was one of my favorite series on the original Nintendo, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
God, I never played it.
Now, the first one is garbage, hot garbage, but the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, as well as the Manhattan Project, those 2 games, classics. Also on the arcade, you could play 4-player Turtles with that. It's just classic.
Your side-scrolling beat-em-ups.
Side-scrolling beat-em-ups, and it's with characters I loved. Absolutely loved the Turtles, so that one was a big deal to me. They had the rights for quite a while. Ubisoft took them, I think maybe 2007, something along those lines. So
for the Turtles?
They took the Turtles franchise away from Konami.
So they made those actually pretty good isometric beat-em-up.
The ones based on
players.
The ones based on the new design,
right,
is from Ubisoft.
Okay.
Between 1987 and 1991, Konami grew from $10 million to $300 million. Their company is doing very well. And the 90s, just gravy. What a great decade for this company.
Slide on in.
Konami's 16-bit days, the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo. A lot of good stuff. A lot of garbage, too.
Yeah.
Did you know that Konami planned on, they were developing internally a video game console?
I had no clue.
But it was 1992 to maybe 1994. It was originally going to be a home console. Then they shifted it to be a portable console. They were going to have readable cards so you could share game data. There's not a lot out about it.
Sounds kind of half-baked.
But Yoshitaka Murayama, who created probably my favorite video game series of all time. His first job with Konami, they pulled him out of that and they said, we're going to have you start developing one of these, like 5 different games.
Sure.
He opted to do an RPG. He worked in it for a while and then they canned the system once the PlayStation was sort of announced. Yeah, so he was one of the only people that really knew about it. He's done a couple interviews. But then he was offered to work on another RPG, and he was kind of in charge of it.
I know this RPG.
Created the Suikoden series.
Suikoden. I love Suikoden.
So which Suikoden games have you played?
I only played the first 2 because I hear the ones after are middling at best.
Debatable.
So I got a PS Vita, and I had been looking for games to put on it. This is even in like the midway through its life, essentially. And I was looking for stuff to play because you could put a lot of PlayStation Classics on your Vita. Mm-hmm. And the first thing I downloaded was Suikoden. I beat that within probably 3 days. I got pretty obsessed with it. I had to use a guide, though, because there's a lot of those legendary stars that you can miss.
Yep.
And the legendary stars are the characters. And there's like what?
108.
108.
It's a sacred number in, I think, a few different religions.
Yeah, I imagine so.
The 108 Stars of Destiny, what I find so great about the series is it's largely just based on political intrigue. Mm-hmm. It's about Shakespearean tales of betrayal and friendships. Each character, each 108 different Stars of Destiny, you show me a portrait of them, I can tell you who they are, what they do, and something about them, something that happened, which is amazing. I just played Chrono Trigger for the first time.
What?
Maybe 6 months ago.
Holy shit.
I know. I had to do it because I was going out to the games done quick. But it was my first time playing because I knew I was going to be watching the game.
Yeah.
And a lot of those characters left a big impact on me. But there's still a few that I don't remember the names of, this or that. Suikoden characters, I can still hear Milich Oppenheimer's kind of like that smarmy aristocratic song that plays whenever he comes on screen.
Yeah.
It's great. They do throw in that bullshit of Leknot coming into the story and saying, "You're the chosen one. Here's your rune of destiny."
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't play a huge role, though. I mean, you have this rune.
In the first one, it does. In the second one, not so much.
Suikoden 2 is largely cited as one of the greatest RPGs of all time.
It deserves it.
Definitely deserves it. Mm-hmm. I agree 100%. Suikoden 3 came out in 2002, and it changed some of the gameplay mechanics. And it didn't look as good. You know, Final Fantasy X had already was coming out, and this game didn't look that good.
Well, that was the benchmark, and then people were starting to judge everything based off of that. So you had stuff even like Grandia coming out around that time, and which is a very serviceable game, but people were judging everything based off of that. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, we've got to have these stellar graphics, realistic looking people,
voice acting,
because everyone had a boner for voice acting and realistic looking things, like Ocarina of Time.
Suikoden 3 had a character named Sergeant Joe, who was a duck who didn't wear pants and liked smoking cigars.
So, like you?
Fuck, man. Sergeant Joe's a cool character.
Sergeant Joe?
Joe.
What weapon did he wield?
He had like a big halberd.
Really?
Yeah.
You could have gone a little bit cooler. Give him like a blunderbuss or something.
That would have been cool. There's Suikoden 3 is one of the best stories. I want to say the best, maybe in the series. But the gameplay is wonky. Instead of having the 6 characters you can control individually, they pair up the front and the back row. They have to do the same thing. No. I don't know why they decided to do something different. It makes the gameplay slower, clunkier, but the story's great, and you still see a lot of the characters continue from the first 2. Suikoden 4 is garbage. Skip that one. That one came out in 2004. But Suikoden 5 is kind of a return to form.
Okay.
And it features some of the characters from Suikoden 1.
Well, that's a late PS2 game, isn't it?
Yeah, 06. It was a later PS2 game. And the story's good, and it really tries to emulate the feeling you got from the first 2, which I appreciate. And that series has stagnated, and they haven't done anything with it.
They never will.
Thanks, Konami. You're sitting on some of the best franchises.
Here's the reality. If they released a Suikoden collection tomorrow as basic ports, not even with like huge graphical improvements, that game will sell far beyond their expectations.
Yeah.
It will sell like gangbusters. Do you know how many people want to play classic games on the Switch?
Do you know how much a Suikoden 2 copy goes for?
A lot.
Yep. I still have one. It still sells for maybe $100, $150.
Yep. Speaking of which, what's the most expensive or the most rare game you have in your collection?
Suikoden 2.
Is it really?
It is.
Mine was probably, well, it's gone now. But
so you don't have it in your collection?
No. I'm still going to brag about it, though. I still had a PS4 with PT on it. Never got rid of it.
Oh, yes.
If we're talking about Konami stuff, a guy from the GameStop actually bought my PlayStation 4 from me for a little bit of a higher price just because I told him I left PT on there. There's a way you can get into the system and do that.
If you would have held on to it, you could have sold it for probably $1,000 more than you sold it to him.
My cat needed eye drops.
I feel bad for suggesting you hold on to it. I'm glad. Was it Goblin?
Yeah, Goblin needed eye drops, and I didn't want him to go blind.
Did Goblin get his own Instagram recently?
Yeah, Allie started an Instagram for him.
What is Goblin's Instagram's?
Sir Gobbleton?
Sir Gobbleton.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what she calls him.
Everybody go follow Sir Gobbleton.
I call him Hobgobby. I call him like Green Gobby, Black Gobby.
What's your cat that looks like...
Norm?
Yeah, Norm.
Norm's cutie.
Looks like Ron Perlman.
You're right. Oh my God. He's got those soulful eyes, the jawline. Yeah.
Not dumb. Ron Perlman, we love you. You're a handsome guy. You mentioned PT. Silent Hill is one of the biggest franchises that Konami has, and they haven't really done anything with in a while.
What's your opinion on Silent Hill?
Never played them.
Really?
Never played a single one of them.
Well, I have.
Explain why the series is great to me.
The great thing about this series in general is that it's so of its time, first of all, but it's also a bit revolutionary. We had stuff like Resident Evil come out, and in Resident Evil, you had these weird clunky tank controls.
Hate them.
I really hate Resident Evil until it became Resident Evil 4. That's a controversial statement.
I appreciate Resident Evil's resource management
Yes.
and just your limited amount of bullets.
Yep.
I appreciate that anxiety that gives you in a horror game. Mm-hmm. Do you think Silent Hill is a scarier game?
Silent Hill is much scarier. It's more psychological. When you have like tangible threats, I'm not like I can be scared, but not so much. Like, but when you get to the bottom of Resident Evil, you're fighting creatures that are based off of like chemical weapons that have been used, essentially.
That exists in a physical world?
But it exists in our world.
Yeah.
In so many ways. So for me, it's just like, oh, well, this is creepy, but this was man-made. Like, this comes from a place that I can actually like, I can say like, oh, well, I get this.
Yeah.
Whereas in Silent Hill, you see something like Pyramid Head and you're just, I don't know where that came from. I don't know who made it. I don't know how it was, why it's here, what it's doing. And that's a shitload more scary.
What is the antagonistic force in the Silent Hill games?
Spoiler alert, it's you.
The entire series?
Pretty much.
It's
mostly your own mind, yeah.
Your mind playing tricks on you.
If I had to sum it up, it's you. I have not completed the first one. I'm sorry, I'm a plebe. But the second one, you have like various antagonists, but it's all you. Because you're facing a mysterious, almost nature-like force in a lot of these games.
Yeah.
What's cool about Silent Hill is that a lot of what it became was based off of graphical limitations, like the fog, the extreme fog. That was all due to just not being able to render things far away.
But that became a core component of what made that game scary, correct?
Yeah. If you can only see so far ahead of you, I mean, fog in real life is scary enough when you're driving down the highway.
Fuck yeah. And there's a guy with a pyramid head in front of you.
Yeah, and he's got like this big cleaver, and he's going to like chop your car in half. Yeah.
How many of the Silent Hill games did you play?
Just 1 and 2.
Just 1 and 2, because there's been a shitload.
I know. And it surprises me that they've never done a main game since 4. Wait, did they do 4?
4?
I'm thinking 3. Is 3 The Room?
Silent Hill 4 was in 2004. I think it was 2007 that like in 1 month they released 3 different Silent Hill games, which is seen as one of the bigger blunders Konami has done.
Are we talking about Shattered Memories? I played Shattered Memories.
Sounds like a Kingdom Hearts game to me for some reason. Well, you and I are going to do a Kingdom Hearts episode.
Oh, my God.
Yes, we are, because Tom and Josh can't hack it.
Oh, no, they can't hack the Pretty Anime Boys and Goofy and Donald.
Have you played all of them?
I know enough about it.
How many of them have you played?
I've played 1, 2, Dream Drop Distance. Oh, my God.
Birth by
There's
Sleep?
one more. I didn't play Birth by Sleep. I didn't have a PSP. I know. I think I played 365 over 2 days.
Now that's a good title.
Oh yeah, it totally makes sense because you didn't just see it as a fraction on the. I've got so many.
181 days.
There's going to be an episode where I literally rant about Tetsuya Nomura for an hour and a half.
I have major issues with that guy.
He had such a good concept going for him. That first Kingdom Hearts, flawed as it was so good and beautiful and pure. And then he just fucked it into the dirt. He really did. Back to Konami. I can't think about more Tetsuya Nomura.
Kingdom Hearts 365. We're going to fuck you into the dirt.
Oh, God.
I still will play any Kingdom Hearts game that comes out, though. At this point, at a certain point, I'm invested in a series where until you're just making mobile games, Final Fantasy VII, they did their compilation. We talked about that briefly. I played every one of them except the mobile game. Not only because, I mean, it was only released in Japan, but I wouldn't have played it in America. What was it? It was before Crisis.
Oh, it's the one where you play as Elena and Sang or whatever?
You're playing as the Turks. Once a game series, because Kingdom Hearts had a mobile release too.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts Key. Yeah. Once they start doing mobile releases.
Oh my God.
Just like Castlevania, I'm interested as long as you're continuing the franchise. If you're rebooting the franchise or you're moving to mobile games, fuck you.
Well, is that what they did with the new Castlevania?
The fact that you can play as multiple characters from the franchise means it can't be story-based. Did you ever play the Nintendo Wii game, Castlevania Judgment?
No, but I heard about it. It had a really scantily clad anime boy on it. I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
And he had like a really dumb-looking whip.
I mean, I think that's most of the characters in the game.
Yeah, but at the same time, at least Simon Belmont looked like something. And Soma Cruz had like, a cool trench coat and shit.
Charlotte was her name, like the witch character with the book. The Nintendo Wii Castlevania Judgment, they made a fighting game out of Castlevania where there was a time paradox.
It was a fighting game?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, that's disgusting. Was it all just people whipping each other?
And swords and spell books, but
whatever.
They brought all the characters through a time warp, and then all of them are interacting. The only thing that I'd probably
love a good concept.
The only thing I'd be curious to see is just what characters say to each other, such as I'm
sure we could find that compilation.
I love when Solid Snake is in the Smash Brothers series.
That's Wario, Snake. Watch out for Wario's bite. It's not just damage you take from it. He also attacks by farting. He can fart to fly around, too.
By farting. A fart attack.
A fart attack? The fact that Snake had audio recorded for each character.
Oh, David Hayter, he's so up for playing Snake.
Yeah, and who wouldn't be? When you're just busy writing Scorpion King, you'll take a break to be a cool badass.
And X-Men.
And X-Men 1 and 2.
I hear he did some other stuff, too, but... I mean, he's overshadowed himself at this point.
It's so interesting that one of the first good comic book movies was written by Solid Snake.
I like that idea. Where were we?
Silent Hill. They kind of had... Shattered Memories was the one that nobody liked, right? Because there was
people liked the Wii one, Shattered Memories.
Whatever was the newest one before PT, everyone thought it was the
Homecoming.
worst. They thought it was the worst in the series.
It was Homecoming.
And then PT drops, which I think is a brilliant title because it's playable teaser. It also makes me think of post-traumatic PTSD.
Oh, I didn't even make that connection.
You got Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro working on a game. The demo
Norman Reedus, too.
No one cares about him.
I do. I like him.
Yeah, Boondock Saints can suck my dick.
I mean, it's a bad movie, but...
So the second one's worse. Regardless of that...
God, All Saints Day.
What you have... You have what many people are lauding as one of the scariest video game experiences of all time. Okay, whatever. You have a fight with Kojima if you're the CEO. You're having one of the premier video game auteurs. Can you name someone that you think is bigger than him outside of Shigeru Miyamoto?
Oh God, you said Shigeru. Tetsuya Nomura.
I'd say Kojima's bigger than Nomura.
Hironobu Sakaguchi.
Sakaguchi might be bigger. I don't think Nomura's bigger.
Boy, howdy.
Right?
It's rare.
He is one of your Steven Spielberg.
Masahiro
Sakurai. He just did the Smash Brothers series and some Kirby's, right?
Yeah.
Sakurai's big. Okay, Sakurai's big. But you have one of the premieres. You have one of the Stanley Kubricks. You have one of the...
the guy who did the Fable series. Peter Molyneux.
That guy sucks.
I know he does, but he's like prolific.
Ken Levine, he's so great. What happened to him? Oh, doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, we haven't seen him since 2013.
Cliff Bleszinski or whatever his name is.
Cliff Bleszinski.
We're making the Dark Souls of Gears of War games.
Oh, speaking of, then Miyazaki.
Which Miyazaki?
The one who made Dark Souls.
Ah, okay. I only can think of...
You're thinking of...
Hayao.
Yeah.
My favorite Miyazaki.
Oh.
But you have arguably one of the biggest video game auteurs working for you, making what is going to be your biggest cash cow of the year. I know that Konami was losing money on the way to 2015 because it was a long development process, and they honestly
upwards of about $80 million for
one game.
5.
With the Silent Hill series, they released those 3 games kind of at once, and they kind of were suffering from that. They also had that really bad, was it E3? Like they had a conference where everything kind of just crashed and burned. Nothing worked. They had people who didn't speak good English on stage, so nothing translated well. And then you have Kojima, and there are weird rumors you're firing him, that it's his last game, and it just gets worse and worse. It's like watching a sloppy breakup, and you're learning more and more about it, and it just, everything that happened makes them look worse. So let's take it back to Metal Gear Solid 5. The development cycle is taking so long. Konami just needs some quick money, and that's why they release Ground Zeroes.
Yeah.
Which...
The prologue.
People were... I mean, it wasn't even polarizing. People were just pissed.
Well, it was $40.
Was it 40 or 30? Because I heard 30 today. Regardless, 30, it was too much for a demo experience.
I paid for it. I was the chump who paid for it. You know, it's funny, though. They released the Legacy Collection.
Because that's what they do now, is just release collections because they don't want to...
It was a good collection, though.
Both of those games have been free, or like free downloads at this point.
But for me, especially like when you have that first open world area, that prison facility, you could really do a lot in that facility. I'm not going to say that $30 is acceptable, but I accepted it anyway.
It's still impressive. It's the Fox engine. It's seeing...
It was gorgeous. Things didn't look like that in 2014.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
That game has a lot of like gameplay that you can kind of design. You can do weird things to like problem solve.
Yep.
It's emergent gameplay.
It's its own little puzzle box.
Watching Video Game Donkey, the way he plays Metal Gear Solid 5 is just brilliant. He's doing things that don't make sense.
Really?
And he's defeating planes by lifting up bears with balloons. It's great. But so they do this with Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, which a lot of people didn't like. And then all of this is leading up to the breakup of Kojima and Konami. They remove his name from the box art.
Ooh.
Which is, okay. It's just let it be. His name's on there. You're having a breakup. Do you have to be that petty?
Of course.
Do you have to be more petty as to when he wins an award at a game show? You don't let him accept it. Mm-hmm. I don't know that host's name from that award show, but he comes on after Kiefer Sutherland went up, and then the announcer for the show comes on. He said, Hideo wanted to be here. Konami wouldn't allow him to attend the award show. So you have a video game award show where literally everyone is booing your company.
Yeah.
You are driving yourself, you're fucking yourself into the dirt.
Yeah.
Speaking of Kingdom Hearts, Konami is just fucking themselves at this point. Sloppy breakup, but even with PT, when this breakup happens, it's one thing to cancel the game, but they pull the teaser off of the online store. And they were also trying to figure out ways to remove it from people that already downloaded it.
They tried. The Sony actually put their foot down and they were like, no, that's like invasion of a personal space. I remember, I don't remember what executive quoted that, but he's like, no, they own that now. There's really nothing you can do about it. There's stuff about licensing where you can take certain types of games away. But once you have something that's no longer connected to the internet, there's nothing in the terms of service that says you can just immediately take it away from them.
It's outrageous.
The fact that they wanted to bury this bad. I read so many articles about their breakup, and none of them answered the pivotal question, what actually went down?
A new CEO came in.
Right.
They were hemorrhaging money, anticipating what was going to be their biggest release of probably 5 years.
Right.
He needs to make some money quick as a new CEO. You release Ground Zeroes, and then you release Metal Gear Solid 5, and then you release Silent Hills. That's how you maintain face. Or if you want to do some of this, if you want to have a breakup, you do it as gracefully as you can. You don't be petty in the public eye. It almost seems like Konami is trying to just sink their company somehow.
They don't care about their actual audience that they've had. It felt like a betrayal for many people because they got rid of the audience that they had for so long, which would be people like you and me who appreciated these series and they appreciated them as a publisher because they would make the things that you like.
Two of my top 4 games of all time, 2 of my favorite games of all time, Symphony of the Night and the Suikoden series in general. Thank you, Konami. Thank you for allowing these things to exist because they are so integral to who I am as a human being. They've affected me as I grew up, my values, my morals. If it wasn't for you, they wouldn't exist. What has happened? It's kind of like Chef in South Park. It's like, remember Chef for how he used to be, not for the big old douche nozzle that he turned into.
I really can't fathom it. They went from being loyal kind of producers to shills.
All right. Do you want to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! And Dance Dance Revolution first, or...
Brad, you look like a guy who does Dance Dance Revolution.
Well, we'll go there first. Dance Dance Revolution was a big part of my high school career.
Yeah.
Let's just say that
Oh, really? I was right?
Yeah, I was the kid who had 2 dance pads, and girls from 2 grades up would come over to my place to play Dance Dance Revolution.
Oh, man.
What's up? Me and my buddy, I don't know how, but yes.
Wow.
My buddy Tombo and I were like the Dance Dance Revolution kings.
Oh, no.
I mean, I'm going to go ahead and credit Dance Dance Revolution as teaching me, rhythm in general.
Oh, sure.
Which led to Guitar Hero, which I actually can play real guitar and play drums, and
sure,
with a modicum of success. Dance Dance Revolution is great. The pads for at home use, whatever, they're fine.
Success may vary. Did you ever play the Mario one?
No.
I almost bought it when I was 12 years old. And then I thought about it for a second. And then I thought about my mom walking in and seeing me do that.
Yeah.
To like Mario music. And then I felt so embarrassed immediately. Like thinking about it, my face turned bright red and I just could not.
Dancing to Mario music is less embarrassing than almost every song on the Dance Dance Revolution soundtrack. And you know that's true. If it wasn't for Darude Sandstorm, there would be no saving grace in there.
And you probably knew them all perfectly, right?
You never memorize them, but I could do them. And then you do double pad when you really want to impress people, where you jump across 2 pads. I danced the B-Mani series is what it's technically called for Konami. They did the Beat Mania games. They did Drum Mania. There's like Guitar Freaks.
Well, there's also, I mean, those are such arcade hits in Japan. In fact, for the Switch, I just recently downloaded Taiko no Tatsujin, and that's the taiko drum one.
Yeah.
Those are fabulous games.
All the beat games are interesting. Mm-hmm. And they're still great. Whenever I do see a Dance Dance Revolution machine,
you do it.
I'm going to get sweaty if I play it, because I always just like, I can play Expert. I used to play Expert.
Is it possible for the Dogcast to do a remote podcast at like a Dave & Buster's?
Yeah, we could figure something.
Can that be a Patreon unlock, or like something that we do if we get enough likes and reviews?
What we'll do is we'll have to just bring a little mobile recording setup, and then we can split up, play a few games, and we'll come back and talk about it. And then we'll also record some videos. If you want to see Brad play Sandstorm on Expert.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully they have that there.
They'll have it. Every arcade that's going to claim to be an arcade has at least one of those.
Yeah.
But if they have the alternate brand where it's not the up-down, it's the diagonals, nope, can't do it.
Really?
Yeah, there's an alternate one which does that. I still have the Beatmania DJ board in my closet. I played that game 5 times, but it was on sale, so whatever.
Oh, okay.
So the Dance Dance Revolution series was a very big deal. Konami still had a pretty good arcade presence. Another huge cash cow for Konami is the Yu-Gi-Oh games.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah.
Which I don't understand shit about Yu-Gi-Oh. He has cards. He has a funny hairdo.
So it's based off of a series. It was called Yu-Gi-Oh. And he was called the...
Oh, really?
It was a manga, and he was called the Game Master. Now, what we got in America was essentially just the card game part. But if you read the manga early on, he plays different types of games. He goes from game to game, and he just ends up being really good at it because this ancient pharaoh was like a genius tactician. Mm-hmm. But when you watch it on American television, it's literally just the card game. They edit so much of it out. And so when in that first episode, when he beats Seto Kaiba, the main like smarmy bad guy, you have no context for who any of these characters are. Mm-hmm. They tried to edit their way around it. This is for kids. This is its own licensing company. That card game became massively popular, and literally the guy who wrote it could not write anything else for the next 10 years of his life.
There are still new...
He was prisoned.
There's new Yu-Gi-Oh games being worked on still.
Yeah. The main creator has nothing to do with those. He's like, I'm done. He's a good illustrator. So he deserves better.
How alive is that franchise right now?
Surprisingly, it is very alive. You're going to still find the shows on Cartoon Network, at least during like Saturday mornings, stuff like that. And they still pull in money. They've made about $28 billion worldwide currently.
And I think, honestly, out of all of the big franchises Konami has, that's one of the only franchises that they're still using to make games. It's not like they own Yu-Gi-Oh!, but they own the rights to make the games. They're still making Yu-Gi-Oh! Games because that's an easy...
It's cardboard.
It's cardboard. They're making money.
Yeah.
Another series, which is one of their biggest things, is Pro Evolution Soccer. I don't give a fuck about sports games.
Yeah. Surprisingly, it competes pretty well with FIFA.
Since 2001, they've released a game every year.
Yep.
And they will continue because even though they don't have, I think, the franchise rights to the teams, the gameplay is so great that they get away with it.
Yeah. I've never played one.
And I never will because it's a sports game. And honestly...
You don't like any sports games?
I'm not saying I don't like any sports games. I would prefer a cartoony, fun take on a sports game.
Like if Mario's in it.
Give me a Mario Tennis.
Dude, we have to get Sonic and Mario at the Olympic Games.
No, we don't.
The new one, we got to do it.
I don't give a fuck. Mario can't run as fast as Sonic. This is a rule of physics.
I don't know. I saw a video where he did.
I saw a video.
I saw a video where
if
he
had
did.
a star, maybe.
Yeah.
Konami, they really fucked up.
They screwed the pooch.
They screwed the pooch. And after everything that happened with Kojima, you start hearing rumors about how they're treating their staff and their employees.
It's
Orwellian.
Yeah.
One staff member posted on Facebook mentioning, hey, I got a new job with this company. Super excited. Mm-hmm. Every Konami staff that liked that post were demoted.
Yeah.
Some of them to working in the new Konami fitness clubs as
cleaning equipment.
If you leave that company, allegedly, you will become so blacklisted in the video game industry that no one will hire you because they so actively try and take you down.
I bet Kojima would hire you. What a hero.
Kojima, what a hero.
No, I know. He'd find a place for you.
Someone asked him, so the Metal Gear Survive series, there were some rumors that the idea was along something that you had planned. And yeah, he said, Metal Gear Solid is not about zombies. He said something simple like that, and everyone's just like, yeah.
Yeah, everyone cheers. He's so the hero in this situation, fighting against tyranny.
Death Stranding can be the weirdest game with questionable gameplay.
Everyone is great.
I think it's great.
I haven't even played it.
I so want him to win that doesn't matter. Death Stranding, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. Love
Make it so, yeah.
But yeah, so they're doing this Orwellian thing. They have cameras on you constantly. They're monitoring your lunch breaks.
Yep.
Konami, they're fucking doing well.
Their stocks are doing well. They did withdraw from the main stock market, but the New York Stock Exchange. But
yeah, they did that. Was it after PT was pulled?
It was after 5, I believe.
After Metal Gear Survive came out.
It's when they renamed themselves. I mean, what are the games they have out now? Oh, I know one. I was looking through the App Store today on my phone, and one of the most popular ones is called Dragon Collection. And I'm going to guess that you just collect dragons? I mean, okay.
It's a free game. Give us $2 if you want to play it.
No, it's a free game. Pay as much as you want. We don't care.
Well, that's every free-to-play game. Oh, it's super fun for the first 5 minutes. Here, give us $2. You can play more.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, even Nintendo's botching that, let's be honest. Super Mario Run, forget about it.
I appreciated how they kind of designed it to be. They base it around a simple gameplay mechanic of just tapping the screen.
Yeah.
It was kind of well designed. I didn't mind what I played for free, but you're not going to get me to give you money for that.
No.
Nope.
And you have to pay it all in one chunk, like $10?
I don't know.
That's not
what they
Mario,
should have done. If they want to release a game like that, have ads. Just put ads on there, and I can play the game. I'm still not. I mean, I'm probably not going to play it either way. No. But if I don't have to pay to play it, and you can just have some shitty ads in the background,
like suddenly you're playing like Mario Run, and then you get the sudden urge to drink a Red Bull.
Yeah, just put a Red Bull can in there. Have Mario drink a Red Bull.
Or maybe his like cap is actually just a Red Bull can, and then it gives him wings.
He could fly.
He couldn't fly though. He glided. Let's be honest.
Couldn't he fly? I never played 64.
I
just dropped a bomb on you there. I was a PlayStation 1 guy. Okay, so I'm just going to rapid fire big franchises, and you say your favorite game.
Yay or nay?
Silent Hill.
2.
Suikoden.
2.
Metal Gear Solid.
3. Snake Eater.
Castlevania.
Symphony of the Night.
Apart from Symphony of the Night. That's a better question, because everyone's favorite is Symphony of the Night.
I'm going to go ahead and say Super Castlevania 4.
It's good. I like Super Castlevania 4. Oh, man. I don't know. I'll probably go Castlevania 3 or Harmony of Dissonance.
When are you going to get to that those Metal Gear games? Get a real opinion on these
Dude,
things.
I was thinking about playing Metal Gear Solid 2 today.
Just play 3.
I
Go
was
straight
just
to 3.
rebooting that Xbox, just booting it up again, hearing it just and slowly dying.
That's how my PlayStation 3 sounds.
Did that ever sound good? The PlayStation 3?
I got the updated one, so
Yeah.
it still sounds all right. It doesn't have to work its butt off anymore.
I was impressed with Phantom Pain. I don't know if I'll play Metal Gear Solid. I should play 4 and 3. Maybe eventually.
I wish they'd put them all out on the Switch, but that's never going to happen.
Who knows?
I just want to play everything on the Switch.
Konami is lazy. They just want to do re-release and collections. I can almost bet that everything would wind up on the Switch eventually.
Well, it's so funny. They haven't released Symphony of the Night, done a proper re-release of that in a while. They did one for the PS4
Yeah,
where it
they
was
did.
a combo of, but that was the PSP version of Symphony of the Night, and it was bad because of that. They lost all that cool sprite work, and it just does not look as good at all.
The fact that you can get Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 on the PS2, PS3, PS4, all the Final Fantasies are now on Xbox and Switch. Everything is
So available.
Everything is becoming available because it takes a long time to make these games. It takes a long time to develop a big mainline entry in a franchise. So it makes sense. Port them. Release 5 extra minutes of content and call it the collection, the exclusive edition.
And then maybe pay attention to those sales numbers and figure out if people will actually buy these things, because I believe they will. But if you're making missteps like Lords of Shadow and stuff like that,
Yeah.
if you're going to keep making weird little missteps, you have to be self-aware enough to know that maybe there's a reason these ones didn't succeed at all. That's it. All it takes is a little self-awareness. So if you want to get back into the industry and you want to do video game consoles releases again, then you have to give people what they actually want.
And if you're not going to do that, license your franchises out. Let somebody else make
For
Castlevania
Christ's
games.
sake, yes.
Let somebody else make a Silent Hill game, because it's a franchise that people are excited for, and all that is happening is pachinko and mobile.
Well, get this. Kojima recently said in an interview that his next game is going to be the scariest game ever made.
If he's got such a film background, and the fact that he works with people like Guillermo del Toro, I trust him.
Well, PT was scary enough for me, and I'm usually not scared by a scary game.
I didn't even get a chance to play it, so fuck you. So I reached out on our Facebook page to some of our fans, we'll call them.
Oh, we've got fans?
We have fans.
That sucks. I'm just kidding.
I asked just about thoughts on Konami, games you like, games you don't like. Brian Arndt posted "Make Konami Great Again,"
Okay.
which that's a pretty apt slogan for him.
Yeah.
And then Mike Nunez mentioned some of his favorites: Turtles in Time, Tiny Toons Adventure, Lethal Enforcers, which I'm not familiar with.
No clue.
Museka 1 to half or 1 to 1.5. One and a
God,
half.
we're going to sound dumb even talking about these.
Fun rhythm game. And he posted a picture of his cat with a "Make Konami Great Again" hat.
Oh, my God.
So I guess the real slogan for this whole episode is "Make Konami Great Again." You're sitting on some of the best video game franchises that exist. If you give Castlevania to a creator who reveres and respects the franchise, if you made a new Suikoden game that was even close to kind of resembling what I loved about the originals, you got
I
it.
would have already bought it.
I would have already bought it. I bought a Suikoden 2 strategy guide for $60 at a game convention, and it sucks.
Wow.
It's the worst strategy guide I've ever seen. I'm going to buy it.
Because now we're entering an age where we might have a little bit of money on our hands, and these things are things we want again.
I think that us at the Raw Dogs, we're ready to forgive you. We're ready to move on.
You got some work to do.
We've all made mistakes.
Yeah. No.
Just do better.
I need you to kiss my feet a little.
No.
I need them to kiss my feet.
You want them to grovel.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if they treated their employees with respect, I would like them a little more.
Oh, yeah. And I can't handle people who don't treat their employees with respect.
If they started making steps in the right direction, I would be ready to meet. I'm ready to forgive. Well, shit, Dylan. I think we're kind of at the end of this thing.
I believe so, Brad.
Do we know what we're talking about in 2 weeks?
Not yet. I've been trying to figure that one out.
Do you want to cover the Sonic the Hedgehog series?
Yes.
The rise and fall of Sonic.
I want to cover Sonic the Hedgehog.
Or, maybe apart from the Sonic the Hedgehog games, we could cover the lore. The lore of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Are we talking like the Archie comics?
We can talk about the comics, the TV show, all the characters. What is established canon in Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, we're gonna do that.
The canon of Sonic.
If any of you have thoughts on Sonic, Tails, Knuckles the Echidna,
Cream the Rabbit, Rouge the Bat, Big the Cat, Blaze the Cat.
What are the Chaotix characters? SBO the Chameleon.
SBO.
What's the alligator's
Vector.
name? Vector.
And then there's
Jim Carrey.
the Bee.
James Marsden.
Yeah, James Marsden. Man, I hope at the end... $1 million. We're making a bet right now. I'm going to bet $1 million at the end of the Sonic movie. There's going to be a post-credit sting
with Knuckles,
with like two little tails flying around.
I think Tails will be established earlier in the film. He might be like, because you see Sonic in the Sonic world, and I think he gets yoinked out of it.
Oh, you mean the planet Mobius?
But I think it would be a tease of Knuckles the Echidna, voiced by like Nicolas Cage.
Sonic. We need you back in our world now. Come on, James Marsden.
Okay. Do you know the release day for Sonic the Hedgehog?
February.
Do you know the release day?
Valentine's Day? Oh my God, it is, isn't it?
That is going to be the worst date movie.
Oh, I'm going.
Yeah.
It's the same reason I want to see the Cats movie. I love dumpster fires. Please give me more.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Sonic the Hedgehog lore. Specifically, we'll talk about the games.
Lore.
We'll talk about the games a little bit, but
I mean, everyone talks about the games. We're getting clever here. We're the raw dogs.
We're going to talk about our favorite edgelord Sonic and how he's got to go fast and how he's so cool.
Cold Steel the Hedgehog, he'll come up.
So, I'm Brad. On all of my social medias, I'm Loaf of White Brad.
There's no way to find me, really. And
he might be at a bar.
I might be at a bar somewhere. So
yeah, follow Hair the Dogcast. We're Hot Dogcast on Twitter, Hair the Dogcast on Instagram, Facebook. We might start streaming soon. That's what Tom was talking about. We'll check that out.
Streaming the audio?
Streaming gameplay.
Ooh.
We're talking about that being a once a month type thing.
A let's play?
A let's play of sorts.
I can appreciate that. That actually sounds fun.
Yeah, we're the Raw Dogs.